Hey everybody, it's Sarah with Paint and Party. I am super excited to paint this flowery, bright painting with you guys today. It's so cold here in Indiana, so I think it's kind of a perfect fit for me to paint today because I'm freezing. Anyways, so we're gonna use some painter's tape today, and I've got my little mixed media notepad here, which is awesome because I don't have to have like all these canvases. I can just keep them in my notebook, keep them together. So you're gonna be seeing a little bit more of this from me, okay? The painter's tape that I'm using, it's just called, I think it's called frog tape. And it's actually for, you know, when you're painting your walls or whatnot. You could use masking tape, you could use just the regular old blue tape. I like this because it pulls off really easy on my paper. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just taping off my edges so that it gives that really crisp square, rectangle, okay? All right. So I'm just adding these on, and then I'll get into showing you guys how we paint it and the colors I use and all that good stuff. I like this tape too because if I get it stuck together, it comes apart really easily. Okay. Alrighty then. All right, so I've got my plate today for paint. I'm using a random assortment of colors. I've got some folk art, some Craft Smart, and I think I've even got an apple barrel in there, so I'm just using all the rainbow. So I made my flowers orange, yellow, blue, and red, and then some white in there. So I've just got a bright yellow, it's called Yellow Light, lipstick red, my Craft Smart is just orange, and then I've got this Folk Smart Aqua that I used for the background. It's a really pretty color. You could also mix some green and blue together to get that. Got some green for my stems and some blue. So we've really got kind of the rainbow here. Okay. All right, and as far as paintbrushes, I've got my cup of water too, some napkins. I'm gonna use a big flat brush for my background. I'm gonna use this 1/4 inch flat brush here for some of the flowers and the leaves. I've also got a really skinny brush here to help me out with some of those flowers. And that should be about it. This is kind of a small round brush. Might use a little bit of it too. But use what you got on hand. Test out the different kinds of brushes. I'm a big fan of simplify. Don't overthink it. Brushes are a preference, so use the one that you like, okay? All right, and I just have some like butcher paper underneath my palette here, underneath my notebook. But since we're painting on these notebooks, you really don't even need that, okay? All right, so since I'm painting on paper today, I'm not gonna use a ton of water. You can use some water on it, but you don't need a lot like on a canvas, okay? So I'm gonna put some of this Aqua, I'm just gonna put some water in it, just a little bit. And I'm gonna just start at the top here. And it's okay to just go right on that painter's tape. That's what it's there for. And we're just gonna fill this whole thing in. Add a teeny bit more water to my paint. I don't want to go straight on the paper. Just kind of adding it to the paint here. I love these little square paintings. I think they're so fun. They remind me of like, and I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I would go to like art fairs with my mom, or like, you know, like the Labor Day festival, and there would be like these little, I don't know, like a bin with multiple paintings in them that were just on this really pretty paper that I always thought were so neat, and I loved looking at them. That's what they remind me of. I think this would be so cute in a frame in a bathroom. Okay, so I do have my hairdryer out today just for time's sake. I like to make these paintings short and sweet, but you can always pause me, right, guys, and come back anytime, okay? Okay, so I've got a couple spots that need just a little bit more. So I'm gonna get a really dry brush here. Just gonna dab my brush on my napkin. I'm gonna put a little bit of paint, and I'm just gonna go in and just kind of cover up those little areas. I'm not like doing the whole thing again. I'm just going in and covering in those little spots that needed some help, okay? All right, I love it. I love this pretty color. Okay guys, so I am gonna switch to this 1/4 inch little flat brush. We do want our paper to be good and dry. So if you're using a hair dryer, make sure it's dry. If not, just kind of hang tight. Make sure it's really dry. We also want our paintbrush to be dry. If not, it'll do kind of like a watercolor effect, and our paint will just kind of dissipate on the paper. So we want to keep our paintbrush dry. Just dab it on a napkin really well. And we're gonna start with just some of the stems on the bottom, okay? So the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna hold the brush this flat way, and we're gonna do like this, okay? So I'm gonna start with just some dark green. And I say dark green because we're gonna add some white to it. Okay, and there is not any rhyme or reason as to exactly where these are gonna go. I'm gonna add some white to mine just to make sure you guys can see it on this dark blue. And they don't have to be straight. So if you think of how flowers look in the wild, they're just kind of going every which way. Different lengths. Okay, and I'm gonna make one that kind of goes here. I'm gonna go ahead and rip this side off, which I love how crisp that looks. And I'm gonna just take this all the way off the edge. Looks kind of cool. And you can rip these off anytime. I just want to do a couple that are kind of peeking off the edge here. If you're using a different kind of tape, be careful when you rip it off. You know, I don't know how they all rip off, so just be a little gentle. Okay. Okay, so now we want to go in and add some shading and some leaves. Okay, so I'm going to stick with this brush here. I'm going to add some white in, and I'm going to just add some lighter color to the edges of these. And see how that just kind of makes a difference on how they look. If you have some that are a little thicker than you want them to be, a little bit of lighter paint always kind of helps to slim that down if you just go in just on the very edge. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna set this brush over here, and I'm gonna switch to my skinny brush. So I've got just this really skinny one, and I'm going to take some green paint. And I want to show you guys how I did some of these leaves, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a curved line to a point. And then we're going to do another curved line to a point. And when we do these, we want to go a little smaller than what we think it's going to be. So I know I always say this, but it's much easier to make something larger than it is to take away, right? And I'm just kind of angling up with the flower, with the stem. And we'll go back and add some white and different things to these and shape them up a little bit. But for right now, we're just getting our shape on there, getting our bottom, getting our base coat, okay? And you know, you can always add more after you put your flowers in. If you have some spots where you're like, oh, that just really needs something, it's pretty easy to do. All right. So we're just gonna keep going, make these wherever you feel like. And the cool thing is the flowers too, they can just kind of go right on top of these. So don't be afraid to put some leaves in here. And the nice thing too is if you have a leaf that you don't necessarily love, that's a great place to put a flower. Okay. Make this one kind of go off the edge here. And I know I paint way faster than you guys do. It's cool, just pause me. Okay, I'm gonna put one more right here. And maybe one more right here, just kind of a skinny little guy. And I'm gonna let that be. I think I'm gonna go and add some shading in. So this is where this round brush might come into play a little bit. Like I said in the beginning, I think that brushes are a preference. So try them all, see what you think. So I've just got some white paint in here with my green. You don't want to go straight white. And just kind of run it across the edges. What you don't want to do is go in and make the whole thing mint green. Okay, because that's not really giving it that dimensional look. Okay, you want to add some light and then let it be. Because if you keep going over it, you're gonna have mint green, and it's really not the look you're going for. Okay, if that happens, no big deal. You can go back and fill it in with some darker green. Okay, so I think I like this rounded brush, but if your leaves are smaller than mine, you probably are wanting to use that skinnier brush. If you've got some bigger leaves, you could go in and use that small, like kind of flat brush. Okay. I just love how these kind of like come to life when you add that second coat on there and a little bit of shading. I think that on this this paper, it tends to want to be a little bit more flat, so a little bit more matte color than on a canvas. So I think adding those extra colors in is important to kind of give it that shaded look. I'm gonna fill this in just a little bit more up here. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with the way those look. Of course, you know, you can sit there and shade and shade and shade. The one thing that I encourage you guys to do with it being, if you're using paper, is to just be cautious not to get it too wet and too goopy, because then you're just gonna have a mess. And I got this notepad at Hobby Lobby. It is called Master's Touch Mixed Media. It says it accepts wet and dry media, so that means it's thicker paper and you can use watercolors or acrylic, okay? Or you can use it as a sketch pad, which is cool too. Okay. All right, so now we get to use our fun colors. I'm gonna use this round brush again. I wanna make sure and dab it on my napkin really good. Make sure it's good and dry. I'm gonna use my skinny mini brush, and I think that's it. Okay. Now these little flowers with the dots, you can use the end of your brush. This one's kind of yucky. I like to just use the tip of my brush. And then we've got some like little blue flowers that are kind of like the shape of our leaves, okay? So I'm gonna start with those because I wanna make sure that I have room for them, because I think they're a really pretty part of the painting. So I'm gonna use this like bright cobalt blue and some white. So if you notice, I'm just pulling it across here, The reason why I'm doing that is so I'm not like using all my white or all my blue, okay? So I've got some light blue on my brush. I'm gonna pick one of these taller ones here. Mine's gonna be different than my original, and that is just part of the fun. Okay, so you could use that one, or you could also do this skinny mini brush. So I'm gonna do another. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna add some darker blue. That's some shading. And we're gonna come back and we're gonna add some green at the bottom of those, like kind of like it's the like bud part of it. Let's see here. So I'm gonna do another one here. Okay. And I think I'm gonna sneak a little one down in here. Okay. Now, we have a few more of these on this side. I think I'm going to do this stem right here. So, big teardrop. Still sticking with my blue and white. And add a few of these in here. Okay. Now once those dry, we may want to go in and add more color to them. But for right now, I'm gonna just kind of let them hang tight. I'm gonna rinse out my brushes. Okay, let's do some of these little flowers. So like I was saying earlier, they're just dots. So we can put them wherever makes sense on your painting, okay? And you can use the straight color or you can add some white. I actually added some white in with some of mine. Yellow can be kind of transparent, but the white just gives it a little more of that real look, okay? So I'm gonna start with this round brush, and I'm gonna just start with the white ones because I've got a little bit of white in here. And I'm gonna just go right here, and basically, I'm literally just making some dots, guys. And I made it sort of like a triangle, not a perfect triangle, but just a little bit of that sort of shape. Okay. All right, then I'm gonna just wipe my brush off, and I'm gonna switch to red. I'm gonna do a red one over here, just because I think that will really pop on that white background. I like that. My paper would stay down. It's starting to curl on me. Okay. So I did a couple of red ones actually. I'm gonna do another one here. Because I'm just dabbing. Dry paintbrush. I'm gonna go in and add some white in there too. And like like I was saying earlier with this paper, it tends to kind of make for a little bit of a flat color. So these white, as they dry, you may want to go back in and add a little bit more paint to them after they dry. Doing orange one here. Add a smidgen of white. I didn't rinse my brush, just put a little bit of white on there. Okay. I put some orange down here, and I don't really have a stem. I'm just kind of going on top of the one that's there. Okay, some yellow. Still got a little bit of orange in my brush, but I kind of like that. I'm really dabbing this yellow on thick. I'm gonna do, let's see, another yellow here. Just a little one. I think it's kind of peeking off of that one. We need something bright in here. I'm gonna put some bright blue. I wanna make it go off the page a little bit. I'm gonna take my skinny brush here. I'm gonna just add a little stem down there. And I think we need another little stem here. What do you guys think? And put another blue in there. I want to make this one really small. Rinse my brush here. So these are all the same, guys. They're just simple shapes, dots. Okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna find that skinny mini brush again. Please take your time, guys. I know I'm probably going way faster than you. All right, so I'm gonna put a little bit of green on the bottom of this skinny brush. I'm gonna just encase the bottom of these little blue flowers. I like it, I like it. Okay. It's really coming together. So the last step, guys, is we're just gonna go in and just, any of these that you feel like need a little bit more paint, just gonna go in and dab on. The same goes with your stems. If you feel like any of your stems are like lost or flat. And you're gonna wanna let this sit out for a while to dry, so it's okay to make this paint thick. Give it that life. I love it, I love it. One last thing, I think that these blue need a touch of light blue. And I'm just gonna go in and just round the little edge there. Awesome. All right, so I hope you guys had fun with that. Again, I know it was quick, but easy peasy little painting, one that you can do on a canvas, you can do it on wood, you can do anywhere. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I would love to see your finished product. I will talk to you guys really soon.